season, only 3 the year prior. For comparison, Harbaugh's worst season in Baltimore had the Ravens winning 5 games. So with that said, pressure will come early, obviously, in New York, especially because recently hired head coaches in their first season with their teams have had a lot of success this year. Out of the 3 that made the playoffs, 2 are still coaching this weekend in the divisional round. So the question now becomes, will John Harbaugh continue that trend and turn the Giants into a playoff contending team? Guys, is it fair to expect the Giants and Harbaugh to win their division, to win the NFC East this season in front of them? What do you think, I say?
Oh, please. Hell no. To win the division. Aren't the Eagles in the division?
They sure are.
Last year, wasn't the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game? Didn't the Dallas Cowboys have one of the most high-powered offenses in football this past season? I don't expect the Giants to do that, to leapfrog into winning the division in year one. You know, with Harbaugh's arrival, you expect improvement. You expect them to compete potentially for a playoff spot, you know, wild card, I'm thinking. But I don't expect them to win a division at all. No, not at all. I don't think they have the personnel to be able to pull it off. And I think they've got to add additional bodies to that squad. We know that they've got some mercurial talent. If Neighbors comes back, that's a weapon. Robinson, you know, on the opposite side is a wideout. That's a weapon. Scatterboo, you hope that he's going to come back from his injury and be 100%, but we don't know that. You know what? Jaxson Dart is a concussion away from Lord knows what's going to happen to him. He visited protocol 5 times as a rookie. So I'm looking at that. And Burns is a baller. We get that with his 16.5 sacks. But how much of the additional help do you have on the defensive side of the ball? Dexter Lawrence and him. And you look at some of the other pieces. I just think there's too many holes to fill to expect the New York Giants to leapfrog to that level. I expect them to win more games. I expect them to be competitive. But NFC East crown? Hell no. I ain't thinking about them with that right now.
Cam, what do you think? As a reminder, the NFC East, though, a little up for grabs, it feels like. There's multiple coordinator positions in that division that are up for grabs. Go ahead, Cam. What do you think?
Well, you're in a position, if I'm John Harbaugh, that understands you might as well be a 1099 contractor, because each and every year you're up for either a flushing of the toilet or you're going to get advanced with an extension. When you start to align with what is the expectations for coaches, when you have guys like Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, and Mike Vrabel who have performed or exceeded expectation extremely early, you can't look at John Harbaugh and say, hey, this is a rebuilding season. Hey, you have grace or you have time. And that's not the case. When I'm seeing new coaches come in, the things that are clear as day is they have clear identity. Well, when I look back at John Harbaugh and this year with the Baltimore Ravens, they had zero identity until it was in desperate situations, until they affiliated King Henry in the offense. Then you have to have locker room buy-in, the scheme and the personnel. If you're asking me, do I have high hopes for the New York Giants? Absolutely. You have a defense that can win you a lot of football games. It now comes down to say, how are we going to equip Jaxson Dart with the necessary personnel and scheme that will allow him to be the best version of himself? Outside of that, when you have coaches like Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Nick Sirianni, Dan Quinn, DeMeco Ryans, all performing at a high level extremely early, John Harbaugh, the clock is definitely ticking. And if you do not have any type of instant success, you will be Control-Alt-Deleted out of New York too.
Well, I think the big thing is you don't have to expect this team to compete to win the NFC East or to win the NFC East to be a playoff contender. And they can absolutely be a playoff contender. The New York Giants were up on Denver late in Denver. They were blowing Denver out, and they blew that lead. That's one of those games that leads to Shane Bowen no longer being the defensive coordinator down toward the end of the year. The New York Giants are a part of the legend of Caleb Williams. The New York Giants were up on the Chicago Bears before Jaxson Dart goes into concussion protocol and Brian Daboll decides that on 4th and 1, he won't go for it. The New York Giants were a team that could be a different team this year. In my opinion, one of the reasons that John Harbaugh is there is because this team can't finish. This team has one of the best pass rushers in all of football in Brian Burns. Let's not forget, in the year that Myles Garrett goes on and breaks the sack record, he was number 2. Abdul Carter is an absolute monster headed into his second year. Wan'Dale Robinson becomes a 1,000-yard receiver without Malik Neighbors, who is, understandably, coming off of a tough injury. But this ain't 1970 no more, when people come off of ACLs and they can't run. Toward the middle of the season, Malik Neighbors could be back to his old self. Cam Scatterbull could come back and bring some of that fire and that energy and that toughness and that physicality he did to this offense. And we all know Jackson Dart has the goods. And I agree with Shay. I mean, the East that good? Or are we looking at this division and saying there's just a lot of stability in all of these teams? Yeah, we can go back to 2 years ago. But this year, this is the team that has nobody left in the playoffs. And the team that won it was extremely flawed. So yes, if I'm bringing in John Harbaugh, that took a team from 5-11 to 11-5 in his first year as a head coach with the Baltimore Ravens, I'm expecting this team to have a winning record. I'm expecting this team to compete. If not, I could have went and got a coordinator who I ain't know nothing about. I think that he has to have this team in contention to be a playoff.
Agreed. He comes along with that.
Well, listen. If I'm big enough and I'm man enough to admit that I'm fantasizing, I'm looking at you and Cam and fantasizing about wearing y'all outfits on TV one day. How would I look in those outfits, rocking a Cam outfit or rocking an RC outfit? You could be big enough to sit up there and say, Stephen A., you absolutely right. I totally agree with you. You could have prefaced your comments by saying that because essentially you were just far more eloquent because obviously you know far more football than I do. So you sound so beautiful and so eloquent and just saying the same damn thing I said, which is they're going to compete for an NFC East division. They're going to compete for a playoff spot, but they ain't winning the damn division. That's what I said. I said, yo, they're going to win some more games. They will compete for a wild card spot, but they are not winning the NFC East. You can get that out your damn head. And you basically so smoothly, so eloquently, so seamlessly said the same damn thing. So that's all I'm trying to say. You could have prefaced it by saying, my man Stephen A. was right.
Bro,
he started his comment though with, oh, please.
Big bro,
I understand.
Big bro, you know why I love you? Hey, I love you so much because behind the scenes, you are really my dog. But you stay out here trying to flip and wiggle through arguments. Boy, you something else, dog. Boy, you are something else.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. You got to do it, man. It's a skill. It's a skill.
You want to have final word on this, on how fast John Harbaugh needs to turn around these Giants?
I'm sorry, I did not hear nothing that anybody said. I was just marveling at the suits that I was seeing. But you know, in closing for me, I don't think that we give coaches grace. I don't even think they even have the opportunity to have grace in coaching anymore. So if John Harbaugh does not have intentions to win the NFC East sooner rather than later, it's not going to be a long time in New York for him. And then for Stephen A., what I will add is, who do you have winning the NFC East? Or do you believe in the Cowboys?
Eagles.
After, you know, that, yeah, all right, cool. You're going to have
they're going to get an offensive coordinator.
Hurts with an
they're going to get an offensive coordinator.
That will be, what am I saying? 8th or 9th different offensive coordinator for him. It's been a revolving door for him. Yeah. So who knows? Okay. Who knows what can happen in this type of dynamic? Then you go to the Commanders, where you have Jalen Hurts and Dan Quinn, that dynamic, you don't know what can happen. So if any division is up for grabs, NFC East is one of those divisions that could be had by a new team or a new face.
Okay. I'll say this. 3 names. Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
All took over bad organizations and made them playoff teams or division winners. That is the standard now. Curt Cignetti has changed Indiana's entire legacy of football in 2 years. That is the standard now for great coaches. If we consider John Harbaugh a great coach, they're going to hold him to that standard.
No doubt. There's not as much time now. You got one.